Hello, greetings and salutations. Welcome back to the BFC. We have some great guests, as you can see. But before we begin, hit the subscribe button, turn on the alerts, because I'm just getting started. We will be covering a lot today, so make sure you check out the description because I'm going to be putting many resources in there for you to advance your Cyberlux due diligence. All right, so now, without further hesitation, owner of RB Capital Partners, Brett Rosen, and last but not least, Mark Schmidt, CEO of Cyberlux Corporation. Gentlemen, welcome to Buffalo Fireside Chats.
Very happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Thanks very much for having us. Looking forward to it.
All right, Mark, I'm going to start with you. Can you, all right, I have to, right? Can you break down each of your Cyberlux divisions and any info you can give on the progress and developments of each? And out of all of your divisions, other than the defense unit, which we're going to get into that in a little bit, which do you think is going to be your biggest revenue producer in 2023?
Certainly. Well, let me first say that, we have been very communicative about our business units and what they've been doing and the areas they've been pursuing up to a point where, we actually, as an internal company, I think it's more obvious now, we had to take some input, take some opportunities that presented themselves, and really structure the company in a way that built on the acquisitions we've done before, but tried to marshal all of our capabilities in a particular direction. Some of this is driven by iBank input that we've had, where we are serving too many masters in certain areas. Some of this is our own genetics. Some of this is just being very opportunistic. Obviously, when we started last year, we never imagined that there would be an event like the Ukrainian war, for example, that could compel a whole range of things. We obviously knew that there were AUS unmanned aircraft systems that we wanted to pursue. We knew there was software that we wanted to pursue with our digital platform solutions. We knew that there was infrastructure technology that we wanted to pull in. The Ukrainian opportunity for us really was a catalyst where we had to make some decisions about where incremental investments were going to go, where we were going to put our resources, et cetera. And while we haven't really disclosed this fully, this is the underpinnings of what Cyberlux Defense is going to emerge as we are able to unveil more of that. All that being said, the unmanned aircraft systems and solutions group is truly going to be the one this year that, it was on the roadmap, but it's going to be the one that peaks and tips over the forecast for this year.
That's awesome. How has Createx software been received by potential customers? I did want to touch on that a little bit. And sure. How's it been received by developers in the field as well?
Well, I think the broader context is maybe our software solutions in general. Createx is a phenomenal company. They're doing well. I was there. I think we posted some photos earlier in the summer. We're very excited about what they're doing. I mean, they're doing a lot of government work, so it's taking time. I think everything that is affiliated with the government generally takes time, but they're making good progress. I will say that coming to the U.S., we're going to have to do some more work, and there's going to be some more time, and we may end up doing some things that will align ourselves better in a defense context. So there'll be more on that as we go. Software in general, though, will continue to be a huge driver inside the company. There's a lot of AI, ML, digitization capability that we're going to be bringing. The way that we're thinking about in our software now is it's really going to be the engine that provides the intelligence around some of the other opportunities that we're now pursuing fully. So it's an emerging area for us where we've got some specific initiatives that we've talked about in the past that are making great progress. Things like an app that'll be in the Apple Store soon, that type of thing. But as we go forward, what we're really trying to look to is more of the vision that we had put forward even last year with a chart that we published in our first IR deck called the Constellation. And I'll just reference people back to that. We'll be doing some updates on that to make it a little more clear as we unveil Cyberlux Defense. Huge element of software underneath that, and it'll be a huge part of our growth going forward.
Sounds great. As of today, how many employees does Cyberlux have on the books? And do you see the number of your employees growing exponentially next year?
Yeah, so the workforce around our corporate entity is around 23 right now. That is, about almost triple from where we were last year. When you look at the totality of all the subsidiaries, et cetera, we're somewhere between 60 and 80. It fluctuates depending upon projects. Some of those people are, coming in and out of projects depending on what they're doing. Right now, we are, pursuing another acquisition that I'll say is going to be pretty remarkable, and that will help balance some of the things that we're doing globally, and we'll have a pretty large update on that as we go forward in the next few months.
Awesome. Ukraine. I know you are limited to certain information, but given your time in Ukraine, how impactful will the Cyberlux Defense Division be, and what specifics can you share with us today about your time in Ukraine and the newly established revenue pipeline? And is that $150 million projected from the Defense Division alone, or is it from all of Cyberlux?
So again, I want to carefully move all of our shareholders and stakeholders along the path that as we go forward, we are going to be more defense centric. How that's going to look and how that's going to ultimately reflect itself on the divisional level is still to be communicated to everybody. The 150 that I'm talking about in that particular pipeline has to do with all of the effort that we've put into this particular battlefront right now with this particular set of circumstances. We had been blessed with a bunch of good partners. Brett introduced us to a phenomenal guy that we've been working with, allowed us to operate effectively when we were there. We've got very high level government access. It's been very, very exciting. It's the reason why we're pivoting with most of our focus to this direction. Principally because the revenue's there, the opportunity's there, and our partners in a constellation around the company really are remarkable. They're going to be phenomenal for me to be able to announce. Some of them we're not going to be able to put on the air. I mean, I will tell you this much: we've got 5 defense advisory board members right now. You only know of 3, and that may tend to be the way that it goes. We're trying to be as respectful of our partners. I was looking back earlier, we'd made some discussions about some of the partnerships we were pursuing back in second and third quarter. Most of those have actually come to pass, but I haven't been able to tell anybody about them. And I'm not even sure that we'll be able to fully announce as we go forward. But there are some great teaming agreements we've done. And I do think that as you look at the future of the company, beyond this particular circumstance in Ukraine right now, it's giving us an opportunity to get a fundamental capability in place, and that's what we're going to build on from there.
I like that you use the word opportunity, and you know what? I'm so glad that you guys are taking advantage of that. Good for you guys. Why are Cyberlux products and services so significant, and how do you see yourself against competitors moving forward?
Well, I think there's 2 things. One, the space we're in now is filled with massive companies. The good news is we're small still, we're nimble, we can react. We literally took an opportunity that we evaluated at the end of March. We had just completed the UAS hardware company acquisition at the end of March. We looked right away at that. By June and July, we were deploying. And you just don't see that type of reaction and capability at a larger defense company. It just doesn't happen that way. So that being said, we need to make sure we're not single-threaded in a way that doesn't give us opportunities and things that are, important in, border security globally, for example. Our overall thesis right now is that over the next 5 years, based on this particular event that we're all watching unfold continually, all of the U.S. partners, all of our foreign military partners are going to be focused on security at a level that hadn't happened in the prior 10 years. And so on a global basis, that's what we're positioning ourselves to be able to take advantage of.
Great. With DJI being blacklisted by the US government and the Chinese Communist Party posing a threat to the Asian region, does this give, and I'm going to say this word again, does this give Cyberlux another opportunity to expand even further? And I think you just covered that, but even more so in relation to the CCP and dealing with that.
Yeah, I think the thing that you are recognizing that question and what we're pursuing and have been from the beginning of this particular growth phase we've been in. You know, when we announced the original drone software and IP, and then added the hardware to that, that was all predicated on the knowledge that DJI was going to be put aside. We've had to address DJI issues in Ukraine as well, but we also know within our relationships within, you know, the U.S. three-letter agencies that they're not using those anymore. So there's a huge opportunity for us to continue to expand, not just in foreign military, but also inside the law enforcement infrastructure here.
That's awesome. All right, great. Do you eventually see Cyberlux supplying munition drones or drones of any sort for use in domestic agencies?
I can't comment on that.
Okay. Brett, let's move on to you. You know, it's nice.
Right, yeah, I've had it so easy so far.
I know, right? It's nice to have Brett here. It's like having a Buffalo neighbor because you're originally from the Western New York area, correct?
That is correct. Buffalo, the same town as you, same city as you.
So first and foremost, did you catch the game last Thursday?
Of course, yeah. It was quite the blowout. It was like one of those like little league games where the one team is winning so much, but they don't quite call it yet because everyone hasn't started crying,
But we're finally starting to rely on the ground game more, and I think we have an exciting end of year ahead of us. So that's good. Well, listen, knowledge is power. There are a lot of people who don't fully understand the role of a financer. Can you explain your role as a financer, the intensity of the DD, and the risk versus reward potential for what you do?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like the role of financier in the public markets is honestly to provide capital to the company. Unfortunately, in the way it's played out in this world is it's come down to toxic loans. Like most of it is like bad money and like terrible terms. It's unfavorable for the company. It's unfavorable for the shareholders. All it does is give the guy who loaned the money a bunch of free shares, basically. So we try to like deal with people that don't take out those type of loans. So when I first met Mark, he was so petrified of toxic loans. He like, didn't even really want to talk to me. He was like, no, that's not that. That's going to ruin everything. Like it was. So that's how I knew exactly that this is like the right thing. So I'm betting on management and I'm betting on people. Okay. I mean, like, look, not every company's audited. I mean, Amazon used to be on the pink sheets. Apple used to be on the pink sheets. And I know everybody says that, and I'm not comparing everything to Amazon and Apple, but remember, like, everyone started somewhere. Like, you know what I mean? I'm not saying in a garage or in something, but like not many people go from like hardly any revenue to, possibly 150 million over the next, like whatever. I mean, and it's rare any way you look at it. So as far as due diligence goes, I feel like it's playing out in real time for me right now, a little bit, we do background checks. We got into a little bit of, we had an issue with a company, one company a while ago. Everyone knows about it, Optech. We should have done more homework on that one. It's all I should have said, you know what I mean? And I'll leave it at that. So now we do full background checks. We do everything. We check to make sure that the CEO doesn't have like $1.5 million in credit card debt that he owes to or like gambling debts to New Jersey or Atlantic City or something. I mean, so we do a lot of that. Another major thing for us is sub-penny stock. We generally don't deal with too much. So we like the stock to be over a penny because unfortunately we believe that like it brings in a different type of vultures, so to speak. Those are the kind of stocks that a toxic lender wants, something that's like 008. So like they get it at 004, like, they just blast it into the market, like they get their money and then some. I mean, and unfortunately, like people are so happy to buy up that sub-penny stock, like in the retail traders, just because it's if a stock's 003 and it goes to 009, well, like you tripled your money pretty much. Like, you know what I mean? And like, it's a whole lot easier than a stock going from 30 cents to 90 cents. So like, I mean, I understand the philosophy behind it, but like so do the toxic lenders. You know what I mean? And then that's essentially what it is. So we take that out of the equation. We were pretty adamant about making sure all toxic loans are gone. If there's any debt, anything harmful, we pay it off, it's gone. And I think all the new debt that we gave to Cyberlux was all premium to market at the time. I mean, you know, everything. So, you know, it's all, I mean, of course we can convert it anytime after a year, but it's like, you know, are we going to do it and just slam it into the market at a loss? I mean, like that's not the point of this. Like, you know what I mean? The viability for us is the NASDAQ. And I know everybody says that we're going to the NASDAQ. We're going to do this. Every company tells you that. The hard reality is there's 4,400 pink sheet companies right now on the OTC markets. 4 of them are going to make it to the NASDAQ. Like 4 of the 44 that are on there right now. So like, I mean, I'm decent at picking the ones that do this, but like RB Capital kind of provides more money than other people. Like we're not trying to give like $50,000 loans or $100,000 loans. We're giving multi-millions. And it's like, look, if you can't make it work with like multi-million dollars, like, you know, you're probably not going to make it work, you know? So you're getting your shot, so to speak, you know?
Yeah. And I know another company that has that potential, but I'm not going to talk about it here. I'm not going to do it to my viewers. I'm not going to mention that here, but I'm not going to do it.
Of course not. I know exactly which one you mean.
You know what I'm thinking of. All right. But as of today, how many companies has RB Capital financed, and how many are you guys still involved with today?
So most of our investments are very long-term investments. We're never really in and out of anything like ever. We never short sell stocks. We never, you know, day trade stocks ever. Everything is long-term. So the minimum that we're ever, I mean, like the minimum we're ever in a deal is like literally 18 months is like the absolute bare minimum. A lot of times it's like 5 to 7 years. So total ever, I would say RB Capital probably does about 2 to 3 new deals a year. That's it. So we've probably maybe dealt with like 40 companies in total, but I mean, every one of those companies has received like, you know, 7 figures from us or more, you know, so it's more about a concentrated amount of companies that are like actually going to like, you know, hopefully go to the NASDAQ and hopefully going to get like a big liquidity event that way. Because like, I mean, remember, it's not like I'm ever going to sell like $7 or $8 million worth of Cyberlux stock real quick to get my money back. I mean, everyone knows like that doesn't work. There's no volume. There's no market to do it. Like, I mean, like, so that's why I always find it so funny. You know, if the stock goes down 6%, it's automatically my fault. Like I did it. Everybody blames me. But I mean, it goes with the territory. I'm used to it, you know. So, I mean, our payday is basically getting paid in IPO shares, or like, for example, a lot of these companies get really, they do really well in revenue. And then, so for example, I had a company, I won't mention the name. They were a multi-level marketing company. I gave them $1 million. I was trying to give them more money, but like they took that $1 million and they turned it into like 130 million in revenue, and they just wrote me a check back. They never needed another dollar ever again. So that happens too. So like all I got was like a 12% return on the whole thing. But I mean, and then, you know, I could have made a fortune waiting had they give me the money, but you know, it happens. But like in the case of Cyberlux, I mean, like the whole defense, the whole sector, the whole everything. I know a lot of it's hush hush and you can't be talked about, but like people know the company. I mean, everyone saw the thing on TV. Everyone saw like the, you know, the thing with Brett, not me, Brett, the other Brett. You know, I mean, people know where it's going. People know what's going on. I mean, people have heard of it now. You know what I mean? And it's people don't understand pink sheets. So the second this thing, like, you know, gets fully reporting, you know what I mean? It changes everything. Because I've said this a million times. Even if you're a fully reporting pink sheet company, SEC reporting everything, people that have like 401k accounts, IRA accounts, Schwab accounts, Fidelity accounts, they can't buy your stock yet. You need to be an OTC QB or higher. Like, you need to be on an exchange that's recognized as everyone on it is fully reporting with the SEC. So as soon as that happens, I mean, everything changes here. You know what I mean? Audits. I mean, like, I think like once audits come through and are all finalized, you're talking about like tons of new contracts, because there's a lot of like defense and governments that aren't allowed to work with companies that aren't fully audited. So once you are, it changes the whole game. You know, and you go from that 150 turns into 600 million in revenue, you know, in 2 years. And I'm look, I mean, I made up those numbers, but I'm just saying it's possible. It can happen.
You're a good read of the market, Brett.
I do my best.
And so you heard it here first. Brett and Mark are not operating a shitty operation out of a garage somewhere. Listen, this is real business, folks. This is real deal. And I know I got to hop back over to Mark here. All right. So there are 3 major additions to the newly created Cyberlux Defense Division: Major General Cameron Holt, Brett Velikovich, Sergeant Major Martin Moore. Obviously, a strong camaraderie has been built, and you did mention there are more earlier. Now, I'm going to put a link to their info below, as well as to all the links of all the Cyberlux connections. So that way you guys could dig deeper. You know, their Twitter, OTC link, website, all that stuff. So happy reading, guys. But Mark, if you could tell us a little bit about each of these guys and why they are so crucial, not only to the defense division, but the overall growth of Cyberlux.
Certainly. So let me start with Major General Holt, first of all. So Major General Holt retired from the Air Force, I think within the last 6 months or so. And he ran all of procurement for the Air Force. So that might have some benefit to us, as you might imagine. He has been instrumental in helping us move the business that we have right now through processes that I'm looking at it as a competitive advantage, quite frankly. And it's the connections are from the top to the bottom for Major General Holt. We speak frequently. When we need to get something done, he's there. And I've really appreciated the amount of support he's provided. And it seemed like a natural that he would be the foundation of our defense advisory board. Sergeant Major Moore comes from the 5th group. So when you think about the types of customers that we might be serving, special operations is certainly an underpinning of all of that. So when you're in an operational role like Sergeant Major Moore, you have very deep connections with operators. With some of the things that we're working on, we have to have that operational level expertise because of the environments that we're training and deploying things in. So he's vital to that. In fact, I spoke with him earlier today. He's on his way to some very big meetings this week on our behalf. And it's just remarkable to have people that have those connections that are actually working with this team. And so as you think about that opportunity window we talked about earlier, this is one of those benefits that we're getting is people see what we're doing and they want to be involved. And, I can't put anything more on that, but I will say the results are going to be demonstrative of that. Now, Brett, Brett is a brother of the front. I met Brett in Kyiv. We put some shareable stuff up there, but I don't think it's anybody's. I don't think there's any new information to say that Brett has been working with the drone teams in Ukraine from the very beginning. He saw an opportunity to use his expertise. And I don't know that people know this necessarily, but Brett was a Delta Force intelligence officer. So he's very, very good at understanding the operational environment and what the requirements are and what the capabilities that are needed and how to help. And he also puts himself right in the line of fire, which is remarkable. So he's one of the heroes we get to work with. We had the opportunity to be together in certain environments that were someday I look forward to having another fireside chat when we can actually talk about some of the things. But we formed a relationship in an environment where you either can depend on each other or you can't. And so he was fundamental in us getting the first things done. Look forward to having him fully involved and very, very excited with that.
Awesome. Share structure and share buybacks, of course. You have maintained a share structure with an outstanding share count of 5 billion. So the CYBL board has approved 19.5 million allocated to share buybacks, and this is a clear indication you would like to get the outstanding share count down naturally to increase shareholder value.
Sure.
You guys have already committed to not implementing a reverse split. You recently said that you will be doing buybacks in $2 to $4 million increments. My question is this: will this be a reduction of the outstanding share count, preferred B shares, which you did tweet out about that before, or will it be a combination of both?
We're going to take common out of the market and put it in treasury. That's the bottom line. And listen, the ongoing buyback strategy, particularly given the markets that we're serving now, is always going to be a balance between what's going to return the most value to our shareholders. It would be a disservice for me to put, the $20th million into the buyback if it's only going to raise the return to investors by, I don't know, 1%, let's say, where I could maybe put that $1 million into a new product that's going to yield, a tremendous amount of revenue. Think about what we just reported in third quarter, where we put $3.9 million in the third quarter into product IP development, research and development. That was done for a reason, and it's going to end up having, a 10x return, maybe more actually. And so I think we have to always evaluate that next dollar. Now, we're committed to doing buybacks on an ongoing basis. And but I do think that the shareholders need to recognize that we'll always make decisions that will optimize their return on investment from our next incremental capital.
And just one other thing, just to add onto that. In my experience, buybacks have a weird effect on things. So like it causes a butterfly effect. It causes a lot of other buying because the share price tends to go up relatively quickly. A lot of people who have sell orders in currently, like as we speak right now, pull their sell orders because they don't want to be the idiot that sells it at $1.05 when it goes up to 6 cents real quick, and then they look like an idiot the next day. Do you know what I mean? So they all pull their thing, which means that all the market makers can't react. I mean, look, they're reacting fast, but like remember, if everybody pulls their sell order at the same time, they just have to keep raising the ask up. You know what I mean? And I mean, it's like an unofficial short squeeze. It sounds stupid, but it's really how it works. The only rules of the buyback are you can't buy any stock in the first half hour the market opens and the last half hour before it closes, just for like market manipulation purposes, for like painting the tape, they call it,
Yeah, I think to build on what Brett said, I think first of all, I hope our shareholders recognize I'm not a stock guy. I am in the stock because of the company. I'm a company builder. So all of this kind of activity is going to be outsourced to a third party to do, right? There's just nothing that I'm involved in. We'll make the algorithm out about when we think buybacks need to happen, and we hand that off to the third party. I mean, let's call it EF Hutton or JP Morgan or whoever. Right, they're going to be doing that set of work. All I want is the amount of money we commit be executed. We'll let the shareholders know post fact that it's happened, and we move on. And I'm not going to be involved in any of the decision making on that. We will be evaluating, like I said, the incremental capital investment on something new to the market, product, technology wise. Or, is it better at this point to take some more out of the common and put it in treasury? So that's our strategy. That's our general philosophy. I just want to make it clear that this is not something that the company does. This is something that the company enables. We'll make the deposit of the capital and the third party management of it, again, create the algorithm that does the buying, and there you go. It's literally going to go from the market into the treasury.
Yeah, back to transfer agent then treasury. I mean, it is a pretty solid plan. I mean, because like the stock literally goes back to the transfer agent the exact same day that it's purchased. The outstanding share count goes down pretty much the next morning. I mean, it's like, remember, if shares disappear from the ability to be resold, it's like other shares have to be bought or sold. I mean, it's the pie's getting smaller. I mean, that's how it works.
As somebody who has 1 million shares, this is music to my ears, and I could see the commitment here, and I love it. All right, here it is. Here's the question. This is what we've all been waiting for, and this is purposely why I put this in the middle of the interview. Many shareholders are extremely frustrated with the current situation. You guys have communicated with us throughout this tedious process. As frustrating as it is for us, I could just imagine how annoying it must be for your management team. What can you share with us regarding the process and why it has taken so long? And have these things been cleared regarding the preferred A and preferred C class?
Yeah. So first of all, the buck stops with me. So it's my responsibility. I take full responsibility for it. The reality is we were growing so fast, if you look back at where we were 2 years ago versus now, it's just
a different company.
It's just been unbelievable. Now, along the way, right, you try to source the best resource you have at the time to do the job you expect to be done. I can't, quite frankly, manage all of that while I'm, doing things like we were doing in, Europe this year. So things slipped, and I let some people do some things that they weren't qualified to do. Thankfully, the OTC is here to protect us all. So we're straightening that out. It's taken longer than I wanted. A and C, as I was mentioning earlier before the video here, those are shares that have been around for a long time. Like the A shares came into existence in 2003, just to put things in perspective. So the fact that I didn't have in corporate records right now the full provenance of who owns those, we knew there were 8 shareholders. I had to go through the big we, not just me, some extraordinary lengths to try to retrieve those records, and it's taken some time. Everybody got to watch the saga of us redoing and removing the 700 million shares. This is similar, but in this case, this had to do with records that a former, unfortunately, he's passed away now, board member of ours who was responsible for that, and we had to retrieve those records. So we got them. We think we've satisfied the curiosity and the inquisitiveness of OTC markets. I do expect that this will be it. And we have, fundamental records of who's got what and where. That'll be reflected now in the A table. And again, there are 8 shareholders. I think all the shares at this point, if they were diluted, is something like, I can't remember, guys. Don't hold me to it. It's a little bit of shares, very little bit of shares. Just like the C, it turns out the C are, fundamentally going to be held by the universities. It looks like there's not a control person. That was another issue they had. So anyway, we've been able to get through that. It's taken some time. We've had some false starts. I quite frankly was really upset the last couple of times that we had to amend things. It's just embarrassing. I'm putting my signature on that. I don't want that to be the case. What we're doing now, just so everyone's clear, is we've got a new group that we are working with. There are, fundamental capabilities there that are going to get us from where we are now to SEC filing, regulatory filing. We've been an SEC filing company before. I do expect by, first, second quarter next year, second quarter probably more likely, will be audited and we'll be filing in the normal way. Now, when we do the uplift, that obviously is a fundamental requirement. So we've been working on this for a while. And, honestly, the foreign subsidiaries and getting those audited has been a real challenge so that it's acceptable here. And we're working through that. And if you layer on top of that some current issues we have with needing clearances that we didn't anticipate last year, that we absolutely have to have this year, it's really causing us to accelerate all of the auditing that we're doing. So we should be, I think, in the US, pretty well done by the first quarter. We're going to have to make some decisions about how we maybe put some of the foreign subsidiaries in a firewall so that we don't have to worry about our clearances. More on that as we go. Again, these are real-time things that we're dealing with internally to make sure that we're actually serving the broadest opportunities we possibly can. So that's, I guess I touched on audits as well, but that's really what's going on right now. And it's taken a little more time. And quite frankly, as we've, turned the organization towards these massive opportunities, we've had to really consider how do we need to be structured so that we are capturing the opportunities that are available. And that's, again, real-time work happening.
And so that you can also withstand the scrutiny that's going to come along with this too. Like, I mean, remember, this isn't like, we're not selling apples to, the supermarket real quick. Like, I mean, this is a little different. Like, this is, like I said, it's hard when you can't talk about half or 75% of the stuff you do, you know what I mean? But it's like, remember, this is a different game that's being played now.
Yeah. Just to build on that point, some of the reduction in communication we've had has been based on the advice and direction that we've been given about some of the things that we're involved with. So it's frustrating to everybody, I understand, but it is also a matter of security. It's a matter of optimizing the full potential in our future endeavors. So it's just the way that things have to go, and we will report the results and we will deliver.
And then remember, I mean, a publicly traded company is also supposed to only make very limited press releases when they're not current in their financial reportings, meaning the pink current status. Yep. It's just like, because they don't want you to put out information when no one can verify it with the, not that the filings aren't done, but it's just like most of the time it is the filings aren't done when the pink current isn't there. But I mean, one thing I will say is like, I've been dealing with OTC markets for a long time. I mean, I know that they're a very strict organization. They're very, very good. But at the same time, like, they wouldn't be looking this hard into Cyberlux and working like this well with them if there wasn't something real. Like, do you know what I mean? They're just covering all their bases, all their everything now. Do you know what I mean? Most companies, they would have already delisted them months ago. They're like, never mind, you got no revenue, bye, see you. Like, they would have just like, but this is different. I mean, they're document requests, information requests, like more and more and more stuff. I mean, it's a bad process, and this isn't against OTC markets, but they don't have a ton of people that work for them. It's not some huge organization. I've been there in person several times. I mean, it's a nice office, but like they could do with another 15 people at least working there. You know what I mean? Because remember, you have like 5,000 plus companies between the QB and the pink sheets that are like listed there. Remember, some of them are like companies like Nintendo, Tencent Holdings, Fannie Mae. I mean, they're real companies. I mean, like, it's like, I mean, OTC markets is spread a little thin, to say the least. You know what I mean? So like, helping Cyberlux get their filings in order probably isn't high on their priority list, although it is to us,
I've done my best.
Yeah, no, it's not even, believe me, no one's hassled Mark more than I have, I promise you. I'm the one that hassles him the most. All the shareholders should thank me, because I send him messages all the time bothering him about this, and he'll attest to that.
I can confirm that.
And I was going to ask about SEC filing and a timeline for that. And that's really good that we're looking towards second quarter next year. So good for you. That's great. That's excellent.
I mean, the types of things that we're involved with now are going to make the auditing very easy. It's just some of the other things that we've done in our acquisitions that we're going to have to evaluate. So all that's happening. Just bear with us, and we'll make more public as we can.
Excellent. Thank you. I have to ask you this, Brett. What is the process for deciding what will be, and you talked a little bit about this, a really, really worthwhile investment, and how do companies pass the RB Capital Fit test, would you say?
All right. So basically, a big part of the fit test is management. I can tell you that right now. It didn't always used to be. I used to try to run it on fundamentals. Then I realized that doesn't always play at all in the OTC markets. Like, nobody actually cares if you have 100 million in revenue, because like somehow your stock still trades at 0.004. Some of it took me a long time to figure that stuff out, and I'm not going to lie. But like now, I'm looking for stocks that have a following, and I don't mean like a bunch of angry people that have like lost a bunch of bag holders. I'm talking about people that actually like legitimately like do real due diligence. I mean, like Cyberlux is full of them. I mean, like people like you, people like OG Tigris, like people that are just like actually like putting out stuff all the time about this, like, and it's real. It's not speculation. It's not nonsense. I also look for companies where people are spreading FUD. And I know that sounds stupid, but like, remember, like those people only come out because there's something going on. I mean, like, no one, go find a penny stock, a pink sheet stock that trades $10 a day, and go see how many people are posting about it. Nobody, 0 people. They're only posting about stocks that trade volume, that have a real amount of shareholders that are doing this stuff, because most of those people are trying to hijack shareholders for some other company, or like, they feed you some ticker that sucks, that has no volume, they want you to buy. And like, that's generally what happens. So like, I mean, I look for it in some ways, but for the most part, like I said, it's really management in the company. And you don't have to have hundreds of millions in revenue, but you have to have the potential of doing that. And, I mean, I've had companies where I invested in them where they had, 80,000 in revenue at the time, and then now they do over $1 billion a year. I mean, so that'd be EXPI. If anyone wants to look it up, it's actually a real thing. So I'm just saying, like, and I believe Cyberlux is one of those companies, one of those ones where, look, look what they did with like not. I mean, like I make a joke about $6 million not being no, it's not a lot of money, and I make a joke about it, but in reality. Most people take $6 million from me and they turn it, and then they tell me how they owe 7 million more. You understand what I mean? Mark actually turned that into like, you know, real revenue. Like, you know what I'm saying? And it wasn't, it isn't like, you know, fake revenue or like, you know, it's going to be collected in the year 2048 or like some like nonsense. I mean, it's real. Like, I mean, it's real contracts, real revenue, real everything with reputable international organizations that people have heard of, you know, so.
And it's remarkable, I got to say, those 600 million share blocks and what you were able to turn around with that just in less than a year, right?
Yeah.
It was like a year and a half, give or take.
Yeah,
that's really remarkable. Absolutely remarkable.
As I've called this before, though, just so everyone's, you know, on the same page, right? This is a 10-year overnight success, right? I mean, we've been working on this for a while, so it's not like the ideas that we're implementing are fresh, right? They're things that we've been contemplating. We had to, you know, there's always some false starts, and we've had some false starts, but this is, you know, where we found the you know, the capital from RB Capital meeting the opportunities. And then as we demonstrated this year, as we look back at it, ultimately, you know, we pivoted pretty quickly to be able to drive after some things that we were uniquely positioned to do among the other things that we saw out there in the marketplace. And again, we couldn't have done that without the RB Capital, and we couldn't have done that without this remarkable team that supports the Cyberlux initiatives.
And I got to say, I'm completely impressed. All of us long holders and long-term investors, the quarter-on-quarter growth and the year-on-year growth is excellent. So congratulations to the CYBL team and RB Capital, to both of you guys. So, thanks. and I was going to ask, what ultimately sold you for this investment in CYBL, Cyberlux, and is it safe to say that it was the management?
It was Mark. I mean, I'll tell you right now, Mark actually came out, he flew out, he met me in person. You know, most people say, hey, look, why don't you wire the money right now and we'll have dinner next time. Like, that's like literally what almost every single person says. So Mark was great. He came out, he met me in person, we shook hands, you know, I mean, it's not like we agreed upon a sum of money. I mean, I'll always put more money in if needed. I mean, it's not like that. It's just that the way that the 6 million wasn't a number we came up with by sitting down at dinner or anything. It was just, that was what was needed. You know what I mean? Like the amount of money that was needed to get the deals to where they were at the time, you know, it just happened to work out that way. So it wasn't like some preordained number.
I showed up with a 30-page deck and a binder.
Yeah, I know. I was like, I felt I was back in college. It was like a PowerPoint presentation. I'm sitting in my living room. I'm like, oh my gosh, seriously? Never mind. You can have the money. You can have it here.
My page 5 of my my plan, Brett said, okay, can we go have dinner now? Absolutely.
Yeah,
that's funny. That's funny. All right, Mark, I'm going to fire off a couple questions for you. These should be rather easy. Will share buybacks become a regular thing beyond the 19.5 million if it proves to be really effective?
Yeah, listen, I think that's always going to be a component of our strategy, right? I think about a lot of our acquisition analysis in a Berkshire Hathaway kind of analysis, right? And they own a bunch of things that have had accretive value to Berkshire ultimately. They also do buybacks all the time. So they're always looking at where's the proper incremental return on investment for the next incremental capital applied. And that's basically our philosophy as well. When we looked at what our cash flow was going to put off in the next year, when we made that 20 million announcement, that was a comfortable level that we thought would reduce OS and also provide a means for us to message the market that we think investment in buying our stock back is at least on competitive equivalency to investing in some of the new technologies. Now, as third quarter represented, right, we also have to be flexible in our thinking. And again, with the opportunities that were presented to us, if you take that, 4 million we put into the new business direction and you look at it yielding a couple $100 million, I think my math earlier was 10x. That's actually 50x. I don't think we would have gotten the same amount of return on buying shares back. So I think that's an example of where we made a better decision and took advantage of an opportunity where we had the chance to do so.
And another thing to think about with the buybacks is this. So 19.5 million is a considerable amount of money to spend on a company buying back their stock, especially in the NASDAQ markets. I mean, let alone even in the pink sheet market, it's unheard of. Okay. In the OTC, it's crazy. But for every 1 cent that the stock goes up, Cyberlux goes up, the market cap goes up by $54 million. So if you think about that, how many pennies do you think is it going to raise the share price based on a $19.5 million share buyback done in $2 to $4 million tranches? I mean, if someone came in tomorrow morning and bought $2 million worth of Cyberlux, like within like a 2-hour period, let's say, like, I mean, you could do a poll on Twitter and see what everybody says. I mean, I guarantee it would go up a penny.
Oh yeah.
So for $2 million, you just raised $54 million of market cap. And to me, like, that's what I'm thinking about. Someone like me who holds a considerable amount of shares, obviously I want the price to go up, so does everybody else. But I mean, the price going up 5 cents right now and adding 270 million in market cap. I mean, remember, 5 cents is getting it back to where it was a year ago.
Right.
It's not nuts. It's not out of the realm of possibility. It's not crazy at all. I mean, I've seen stocks go from like, a penny to $50. I mean, and not overnight, but I'm just saying, I mean, it does happen, but it also only happens with real companies or GameStop. You know what I mean? Like something that's just totally like hyped up and like, you know what I'm saying? Like totally pumped up. But I mean, it only happens with real companies. It's true.
Mark, did at any time, and this is, I'm going to put a little FUD in here, did any time Cyberlux give free shares to retail investors to pump the stock? Did anybody ever do that? Free shares? Were you giving away free shares?
No.
Okay, moving on. All right. So,
listen, just not to make light of that, I do appreciate the fact that in the old OTC market rules and regs, and we, again, it's all my responsibility, so I'll take full responsibility. We didn't necessarily disclose everything the way that it needed to be in the current regime, and we should have, right?
But it didn't need to be that way back then. In all fairness, like that wasn't how it was back then. I mean, if you go back in old filings, you'll see RB Capital, but you'll never see my name anywhere. Or a lot of times you'll see promissory notes where it doesn't even say RB Capital. And I'm not talking about Cyberlux, I'm talking about other companies too. I mean, it's just the reporting requirements changed, and like it wasn't like, and the reason they did change was so that this wouldn't be an issue, so that people couldn't hide the identity. I mean, and it makes sense, but remember, it didn't happen 10 years ago. This change literally just went into effect. I think it was 2 Novembers ago, or 2 Januaries ago.
And we didn't, I mean, we were operating, again, last year, we had to get back to pink current. So there've been some pauses in our reporting that we're on a way back to SEC compliancy. So this is just something that had to happen. The group of people that came into the stock back when it was trading at I think it was 0012 or something like that. We had some really remarkable people who believed in what we were doing, and we wouldn't have been able to raise that initial round of capital without them. Now, it looks kind of prescient now, but it was really a hell of a lot of risk back then. And, you just have to take the risk and reward. Thankfully, we've got the tiger by the tail with the markets that we've been pursuing for years. And, it is a long time in coming. So I felt comfortable in what we could execute. And, when I met with Brett, I felt comfortable with what we could execute. It's gone better than I expected, quite frankly. But, here we are. And along the way, we've done a couple of things to clean up some debt. We've done a couple of things to, raise some money here and there. But all in all, I think the management of our growth and the amount of stock that's been issued, I think is respectable, and I would stand by it against anybody else.
Awesome. Great response. Thank you for that. Here's another question. This was given to me on the YouTube. Does Cyberlux intend to go private?
So listen, there's literally no way that we would find benefit to that. I
how we
will,
should do it.
and I will say that this hasn't happened yet, but we've been advised that we should be prepared for other offers to come in, and we're trying to, again, structurally get ourselves in a position where we could execute something like that, or at least evaluate it. I'm pretty comfortable where we are and where we're going, but you always have to evaluate opportunities, and we want to be as prepared for that as we can. And that's really more, I think, what we're looking at as opposed to a private transaction.
And remember, I mean, to reprivatize yourself, you'd have to buy back all the shares, pay off all the. I mean, it would be like the worst use of money ever. I mean, like in all seriousness.
Yeah. So you spoke about a $2 million buy order. Can you imagine a 5 billion share buy order?
Yeah, exactly. You see what I mean? Like,
it's just not feasible.
Yeah.
Other alternative perhaps is, and we just want to be in good enough shape to be able to take a clear evaluation of those as they come.
Awesome. Before we get to closing remarks, hit that subscribe button, click on the links below. If you haven't checked out my Twitter, give that a follow. And yes, we now have merch that can be earned by joining the Patreon: mugs, shirts, stickers, and hoodies. And I will also be adding Patreon only content this new year. So that is going to be something you want to get in on, whether or not you're here for the interviews, stock coverage, bourbon reviews, or my Buffalo Bills ramblings. You definitely want to get in, because I will be doing a giveaway in 2023. Blow up that comment section and share your thoughts. Let's grow together. So, all right. Thank you guys both for coming on. I really appreciate it. Let's have some closing comments. Brett, let's go with you first.
All right. I mean, just in closing, I mean, I know the things don't always progress as fast as everyone would like, and, me and myself included, but like, I really believe that Cyberlux and Mark and everyone are on the right path here. And, like I said, I never tell anyone to buy or sell a stock ever. I don't give trading advice, none of that stuff. But at the same time, I mean, like, you're talking about a company that people know about now. That, like, you're talking about a company that's like doing real work in the world. And like, it's only a matter of time before that gets really noticed and it gets reflected in the share price. And I know that like I said, I know it looks ugly from day to day. I mean, I try not to look at it day to day sometimes, but unfortunately I'm addicted like everybody else. So we all look at the level too. So, I mean, there's nothing you can do about it, but, I firmly believe that it's going to go around. I mean, we invested $6 million with a 25-cent conversion price. I mean, I firmly believe it's going to get there and above. So like, otherwise, I'm going to lose a bunch of money. So, but so, I mean, like I said, everyone, I mean, I can't tell everyone to just keep being patient, but like, patience is what's going to pay off in this situation. It really is.
Mark, take it away, Mark.
I want to thank you for having the forum here, and it's always great to be with Brett. We have, I think, set the predicate for a really important transition for this company. Without his involvement and Deborah, we would not have been to this point. And it's really, the next few months are going to be pretty remarkable. Again, there are a lot of things happening below the surface that I can't really delve into. I will say that I got back late last night from some work that is just truly fundamental. And I use this word maybe more than I should, but this is a transformative combining acquisition scenario that we're looking at. And I hope to be able to say something public about it by the end of the year. We'll see. But we've been doing a lot of work on that in the background, and it's a remarkable opportunity. That being said, I do want to thank my team. I mean, this has been a raucous year in so many ways. We started out with a pretty significant set of plans on how we were going to achieve our specific goals. We pivoted here, we pivoted there. We recombined in certain cases. We've had to marshal resources where they probably were already committed, but we had people pull in multiple directions to get things done. We took a window of opportunity, and we really have maximized everything we could during that time period. So I really appreciate all the work that everyone has done on this side of the screen. And I think the future really is set for a remarkable next 24 months, really.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. I look forward to having you all back on again to keep up to speed with Cyberlux and the progress of RB Capital Investments. Thanks for everybody who has supported this channel. Stay strong, keep moving forward, don't quit. And remember, there's more that binds us than breaks us. You guys have a great morning. Peace.